Thank you very much for the introduction, and also thank you very much for showing up here and following us online on a Sunday morning. As already mentioned, but maybe I would identify the speakers. My name is Lívia Nolasco-Rózsás. I work at the ZKM, the Center for Art and Media in Karlsruhe, as a research associate. And we have Marcella Lista with us here, who is the chief curator of the new media department at the Centre Pompidou, and we have another presentation on the screen, and not the one we are starting with, so it would be great to change that. So then Philippe Bettinelli, curator at the new media department of the Centre Pompidou, and Marie Vicet, also associated with the Centre Pompidou as an archivist. And as mentioned in the introduction, we will talk about several things, but with a focus on an exhibition, Matter, Non-Matter, Antimatter, which is a traveling exhibition. It took different shapes throughout the last 2 years, and it was exhibited at the Center for Art and Media in Karlsruhe from December last year to April this year, and it is one of the 3 large-scale thematic exhibitions that were included in the so-called Beyond Matter project. That is a practice-based research project conducted in partnership by various institutions. So, and also it's important to mention already in the beginning that the next iteration of this exhibition in a different form is going to take place at the Centre Pompidou in Paris, opening on the 5th of July this year. And to give... the previous slide was missing, but to give an introduction to the... okay, well, that's interesting. It's not a video, it's a simple PDF, actually. But yes, so... that's fair enough. This is a slide about the partner institutions of the Beyond Matter project, which is, as I said, a practice-based collaborative research project. And you can already see who has been participating. So under the leadership of the ZKM Center for Art and Media, the Centre Pompidou in Paris, the Tallinn Art Hall, the Tirana Art Lab, the Ludwig Museum Budapest, and the Aalto University was participating in this long-term, 4-year endeavor that we started in 2019 and that we finish this year. The entire project on different levels and via different outputs analyzes the notion of virtual reality. It deconstructs, but then also reconstructs the possible meanings of virtual reality in relation to artistic production, art mediation, and also curatorial practices. And as mentioned, the project has different outcomes or outputs. One of them is the so-called view platform on which we gathered the different exhibitions, either documentations of physical exhibitions or exhibitions that were conceived in digital spaces. Furthermore, we will also see the outputs, like the major, the most important ones, one of which is the mentioned online platform, but also we had an artist in residency program, discursive program, including symposia and interviews, and different exhibitions, and also a publication that we will publish this year in July. It will be also presented very soon. This is one of the online exhibitions, or actually the online part of one of the hybrid exhibitions in the project, which was called Spatial Affairs. And the online part was called Spatial Affairs Wording. It is still available on the previously shown View platform. And this is an open source game engine based space in which avatars of digital artworks are moving around, and so can the visitors. They can also connect to each other via chat when they are visiting the exhibition space. That was the first round of the project in which we investigated the role of space in curatorial and artistic production, and set up a historical exhibition about it that included pre- and post-computational approaches by artists. It was also enhanced by a discursive program at the Ludwig Museum Budapest, the Hybrid Museum Experience Symposium that took place in 2001, completely online because it was the midst of the pandemic. But there is a video archive online that you can still check, and we also created a proceeding that is also online and can be downloaded as a PDF from the Beyond Matter website. The next large-scale thematic group show that took place in the Beyond Matter project was called Immerse, and in this exhibition, in collaboration between the Tallinn Art Hall and the ZKM Karlsruhe, we investigated the political and social impacts of immersion. Via various artworks that were produced for the exhibition, partially by the artists who participated in the residency program. And here is just a list of the artists who participated in the residency program at the ZKM, at the Tallinn Art Hall, and the Tirana Art Lab, because they were also our partners. So there were very different types of institutions involved with the project, and thus the variety of the artistic positions was also quite impressive. In the upcoming publication, the results will be also documented. And maybe the most important part of the project, what we will talk about the most, is modeling past exhibitions, because the main focus of the project, besides the and reconstruction of the notion of virtual reality in terms of curatorial work, was to create case studies, to create pilots for something that probably hasn't been done before, at least not very often. I can say it because we were looking for previous examples quite actively throughout the project, and which is recreating past exhibitions, not physically, but digitally. And we chose two landmark exhibitions. One of them was at the Centre Pompidou in Paris in '85, Les Immatériaux, and my colleagues are going to elaborate on that more. I will rather talk about Iconoclash that took place in 2002 at the ZKM, and it was curated mainly by Bruno Latour and Peter Weibel. Speaking of which, we started the research and started the process of creating the exhibition models with interviews, and we still had the chance to interview both of them on the subject and ask them what their opinion was on how a digital model of an exhibition, of their exhibition, actually their common endeavor, could look like. And these insights were very important in setting up the exhibition model, which I will show in a second. But before that, I would also like to mention the interviews for Les Immatériaux. In that case, the curators couldn't be asked anymore, but scholars who have been working on the subject for a period of time were asked, and they shared their opinion about creating the models. And so, after the primary investigation, we came up with an idea how such an exhibition model for Iconoclash could look like, and also its augmented reality extension, which was created to model a performance that was outside of the ZKM. And as you can see, the visual appearance, the aesthetics of the Les Immatériaux model, but also its structure became very different. So both of these exhibition models were experiential. And with that, we can embark on the matter, non-matter, antimatter exhibition at the ZKM, which showed these two exhibition models. First of all, I would like to introduce a little bit the Iconoclash exhibition model. So you can see on this slide the different stages of the model, which is in reach online. So you can see the link on one corner of the slide. And as soon as you open the link, you would see a trailer, which is an archive video documentation of the entrance situation to the exhibition. We didn't reconstruct that. We didn't model this entrance situation, but just the first floor of the exhibition space where all the artworks were situated. On the second image, you can see the first most important scenographical moment of the exhibition, arriving to a space where, as a curatorial statement, 3 images by Malevich and 2 ready-mades by Marcel Duchamp, and actually appropriations of the ready-mades were on view. And this is where the space is alike to the physical space that was at the ZKM. But then, as you can see, green spheres are building up and popping up around the artworks. They signify the activation zones of the artworks. Since throughout our investigation and throughout the interviews, we came to the conclusion that we shouldn't recreate the physical space of the exhibition, but we should create a malleable digital architecture that is dynamic and that is much more apt for digital access, since accessing the space on a surface, on an interface, it's very different than entering a space in a physical manner. So this is why we created, with the aid of a recommender system, relational space, a relational algorithmically based space in which the artworks are moving around according to their thematic clusters. And the way it is being done is very similar to retail platforms, since retail platforms are also using recommender algorithms which are recommending you similar products that the one you are looking at. Basically, it's the same principle. So as soon as you get closer and enter the activation zone of an artwork, all the other ones that are similar in their topics are coming closer to you, literally. They are moving towards the visitor, and the ones that are not so close thematically are drifting apart. We will hear about l'asimatériaux and how different it is. But I just mentioned that it is also available online on the previously shown View platform of the Beyond Matter project. And beside the online presentation of these exhibition models, it was important from the beginning on to create a custom-made hardware that would enable the visitors in the exhibition space to access these models in a different manner than on a desktop computer. This is how the immaterial display came about in collaboration with the Dutch design collective Commonplace. And it was based actually on a previous artwork, or rather scenographical installation by Geoffrey Shaw, the Virtual Museum, in which there was a chair that was an interface and the controller at the same time, and the screen that was showing the much more simplified virtual space, as in this case. So in this case too, the chair is functioning as an interface. It reacts to the movement of the visitor, but a handheld controller for fine movements and clicks was also needed in addition, and curved displays are placed in order in front in order to establish a semi-immersive environment in front of the viewer, and also the backside of the display module is installed with monitors in order to show the same image on two sides, and in order to enable groups that are surrounding the person who is currently looking at the work, the exhibition models, to follow the experience. And here we can see the different iterations of the setup of the display. As you can see, we started with different prototypes until we arrived to the final form of the display, which was exhibited at the Center for Art and Media just recently. The previous images are from the Aalto University, the Design Museum in Helsinki, and the Oodi Library also in Helsinki. And at the ZKM, we had the chance to commission artworks for the Matter, Non-Matter, Anti-Matter exhibition by contemporary artists that who reflected on both or one or the other exhibition model. I will not go into detail because I think that we are short on time for that. I would just mention that partially they were using the 3D models of artworks that we created for the exhibition models, just like Caroline Kiasna with the Iconoclast Slow Quiz. Or they were using and also reflected on the soundtrack of, in this case, for example, l'asimatériaux. For example, Fabric or with atomized restaging also used the the 3D models of artworks, but created a synthesis of both exhibitions in a way that they brought the artworks from both past landmark shows together, and with their scenography automaton created and recreated every day a new scenography based on different keywords throughout the exhibition. Another artwork by Gerardin Juarez, and that was based on Lazy Material's soundtrack, and the beautiful augmented reality work that enables its visitor to curate an exhibition as a face filter. Also based on the 3D models of from the past exhibitions. And another augmented reality artwork that relates to the Black Square of Malevich that was part of Iconoclash. And in order to contextualize our endeavor, we included different other research projects that are similar to ours, and called this part of the exhibition spaces are turning virtual and becoming algorithmic. There were altogether 6 different approaches and 6 different case studies or examples for this phenomenon I just mentioned. One of them is the recreation of the first documenta in virtual reality by the University of Kassel, led by Professor Kai-Uwe Hemken. And the further ones worked and used different media, either a publication or virtual reality. And the last part of this exhibition included artworks from the past landmark shows, Iconoclash and Lazy Material, but they were included in a completely different narrative as in the previous exhibitions or in the exhibitions where they stem from. So with this selection of artworks, we try to outline the de- and rematerialization process of the art object, which started actually with the conceptual art, as it was declared by Lucy Lippard in actually 1968. Conceptual art brought dematerialization to visual arts, and interestingly, in the same year, in 1968, there were digital exhibitions popping up, just like Cybernetic Serendipity or Nova Tendencia 4, and these exhibitions brought in a new medium, a new universal medium, as Peter Weibel called it, to the art world. And with that rematerialization process, together with the digitization process, started in art production. And with this selection, we try to give an insight into that. There are a few examples here. Most of the works were from the collection of the ZKM or the Centre Pompidou. And not just artworks, but for example, mathematical models were part of the exhibition, just like they were part of Iconoclash that reflected on iconoclasm in different thematic areas, just like the sciences, religion, and the art. Some further very well-known iconic pieces. And again, the extension of the augmented reality extension of Iconoclash that was in reach in front of the ZKM with a QR code, but actually it is still available online. And so this was more or less the exhibition. And as I said, another iteration with a different content is going to be exhibited at the Centre Pompidou soon. So I give the word to my colleagues to carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, Lívia. I'll start by telling you a little bit more about the exhibition Les Immatériaux, and then we'll go deeper in the process of researching the exhibition and trying to recreate the exhibition in 3D. So, Les Immatériaux was curated by the philosopher Jean-François Lyotard and by Thierry Chaput. Thierry Chaput is less known today than Lyotard, but he was a design expert who worked in the CCI during the end of the 70s and the 80s. The CCI being the Centre de Création Industrielle, which you could translate as Center for Industrial Creation. And it was an organism specialized in industrial design, in architecture, urbanism, which integrated Centre Pompidou at its creation. So the exhibition Les Immatériaux started as a CCI project, as an exhibition devoted to the way new materials would affect creation. And it evolved importantly under the influence of Jean-François Lyotard, becoming an exhibition exploring the transformations of the postmodern world in general. You would enter Les Immatériaux and quickly come across a room called Théâtre du Non-Corps, or Theatre of the Non-Body, in relationship to Samuel Beckett's work. And through this first room, you would be able to choose between 5 different paths, linked to 5 different words, 5 key notions, all coming from the same etymological root, that would be matière, or matter, matériaux, which could be support in a way, maternité, so that would be maternity, matériel, hardware, or matrice, which would be matrix. Those 5 words, all coming from the prefix mat, deal with the idea of rational hold onto the world. They would also deal with our approach to knowledge and communication in general, as can be seen in this diagram. So basically, by comparing those words with theories of communication, you will get the idea that maternity relates to the author of a message, a sender of a message. Matter would be the referent of a message, what the message is about. Material would be the hardware interface to read the message. Matrix would be the code in which the message is written in, and material would be what the message is written on. So part of what makes the exhibition so singular, so special, is the association of this important philosophical ground linked to, let's say, the more technical and scientific approach of the original CCI directions. And the result was a highly complex exhibition, dealing with science, with philosophy, with art, and occupying a whole floor of the museum. As we saw, the exhibition was organized in 5 paths, devoted to each of those 5 words that we just presented. And those paths would not then be clearly indicated, nor could be followed that easily. Actually, you would get lost from one path to another, most likely while walking through the exhibition. The exhibition was built on around 60 rooms or sites, as they were called in the process of creating the exhibition, and its scenography was highly experimental too. It was developed by Philippe Bettinelli, and it was directly following on the idea of immateriality, trying to give as much as possible the feeling that the objects would be floating around. Actually, most of the exhibits would be hanged on metal meshes that you can see here, metal meshes pierced by holes that would let the light go through and give a feeling of transparency. And by adding different numbers of layers of meshes in the exhibition, you would get the different levels of transparency through the exhibition. most of the works would not be either on pedestals, but on surfaces that would be hanged directly to the ceiling, as you can see here for some of the Miada d'Artista by Manzoni. And to add to the complexity of the project, the visitors would be given headsets at the entry of the exhibition that would trigger a soundtrack of the exhibition, mainly texts that would be read by comedian and with a background layer of musical scores, compositions, and those texts would be triggered by infrared or by walking into the exhibition. So moving around in the exhibition, you would have the feeling of a little bit like changing station on the radio, coming from one text to another, giving another layer of information in the exhibition, but also another way to get lost in a sea of information. So, I think we won't have time to elaborate on the publication, but just to give you an idea of a few of the works that you could see in this exhibition. Here is Giovanni's Anselmo, Invisible, which you could see in a site dedicated to Marcel Duchamp's notion of inframin, so what would be beneath the theme. Here a work by Takis on a site dedicated to light and the way you could create works with light itself and use light as a material to create. Dan Flavien's, of course. And here is the last section of the exhibition, in a way that mirrors this first room called the Théâtre du Non-Corps, Theatre of the Non-Body. All the 5 paths would end with this section called Labyrinthe du Langage. So, it would be Labyrinth of the Language in a strict translation, devoted to computer-based experiments with writing and visual arts. One of the tricky things of the exhibition is that it would not only display works of art, but also displays that were not considered works at the time and have not been preserved. And mostly for some of the sites dealing with the scientific question, which was one of the difficulties of the project, on which I'm sure Marie will be able to elaborate more.
Thank you, Philippe. Yes. Over image of the Labyrinthe du Langage. Yes, to imagine the reconstruction of Les Immatériaux, a digital reconstruction we made in collaboration with designers, 2 designers, former students of Aalto University, and the company Netzbewegung. The archival document, with the documentation of Les Immatériaux was very important and very essential in the processus. And the starting point was to study this documentation. The archives of Les Immatériaux are separated in 2 collections. You are some figures about the archives. Yes, they are separated into a collection. First of all, we have the paper archives. It's the most important archival documentation, around 30 boxes of paper archives. And the second one is the photographic archives, around 500 photographs that are kept in the Kandinsky Library, the library of the MAM, the Art Moderne, National Museum of Art Moderne of the Centre Pompidou. For the paper archives, these 30 boxes come from different departments of the Centre Pompidou, and the most important in quantity come from the CCI, the Centre of Industrial Creation, that where was conceived les matériaux with preparatory papers, concept sketches, budget, correspondence, and also from the production department, including the document for by produces by the scenographer Philippe Bettinelli, and also by the scenographic architect from the Centre Pompidou, Katia Lafitte. And this archives includes plans and document for the setup that were essential, for the construction with the plan of Philippe Bettinelli and the different also documents. The photographic archives. Here you see one of the documents produced by the team of the CCI. It's an artworks list of the site infrafine in the exhibition, and here some one of the photograph of les matériaux. The photographic archive kept in the Kandinsky Library is divided in three distinct sets. You have one. The first one is the one taken during the opening, with all the important people of the time, Lyotard, Chaput, etc. The second one is the one taking during the setting up of the exhibition, and the more important also in quantity is the one taking during the exhibition itself. But the difficulty we had is, I don't know. Like example, this one, the difficulty we had during the conception of the 3D model is that the documentation, the photographic documentation of the exhibition wasn't systematically. So not all the parts of the exhibition has been documented by photo. So we have uncertainties in the development of the reconstruction, but certain of the exhibition of the photograph were very important, like for this installation, because some installation also were destroyed after the exhibition, like this one for matériaux dématérialisés. So it's just some documents we have still to imagine what the installation was in the exhibition. And during the research, also we discovered some artworks, and the museum also acquired recently some artworks presented in les matériaux, like this photograph, stronger one, by the German artist Annegret Zoltau. Also an headphone by using in les matériaux. Some documentation also of another installation, Le Bus, by Jean-Louis Boissier. And also the archives of Araxé Revue, telematic magazine, presented for the first time in Les Matériaux and kept by the co-founder Frédéric Develay, and that was acquired by the library Kandinsky recently. And I give the talk to.
Yes, so when the ZKM approached us to think of Les Matériaux as one of the possible historical exhibition to be reconstructed virtually, it made, of course, all the sense in the world, because as you have understood, the very philosophical concept behind this exhibition was to examine how, in the early 80s, a philosopher like Jean-François Lyotard, who had just published La Condition Postmoderne, the Postmodern Condition, a report on knowledge that was really about examining the end of one single history. And in fact, one of the main concept was no hero, no story about this exhibition, a labyrinthine path telling many possible histories. And in fact, one of the concepts was that, but this could not be realized technically, was that at the end of the visit, each audience member would be able to print out their own path, meaning that they would have been tracked throughout their wandering in the exhibition and have their singular version of it printed out. So in '85, it was a very, very daring way of considering exhibition making. And in fact, Jean-François Lyotard had this word. He didn't want to call it an exhibition. He mentioned instead the word manifestation, which is a form of manifestation of the immaterial, which was this entire idea of a scenography of what he called also a postmodern dramaturgy of the space. So it was not about so much about representing, and in fact, he was, for him, Les Matériaux was also a countermodel of universal exhibitions of knowledge that appeared in the 19th century, where, as you remember, there would be these huge glass transparent buildings such as the Grand Palais in France or the Crystal Palace in London, where the utopia was to gather the entire world knowledge in one room, and the progress of technique, the progress of science, as well as the arts. So I would say that the similar aspect, and that's really needs to be remembered, is that Les Matériaux was not only an exhibition of art, or not only an exhibition also of computer science, but also of the progress of industry, the progress of design and technologies, but also biology, astrophysics, and so forth. So what, this here you have all of course, the people who were involved in this huge project. And here you have some images of the, what we attempted to translate with different choices than those which were made for Iconoclash and Lívia just presented. Starting with this labyrinthine plan, the space, the 3D space of the Centre Pompidou was actually remodeled, reconstructed, and I want to state that also the pipes and everything was elaborated digitally. And basically the concept was really how to create a topography, a digital topography of all this archive that Marie has just described, which is extremely rich and has also, been conducted as a huge digitization campaign, and how to materialize this archive in this virtual space. And as you enter each site, basically you have access to all the content as we know it of the site, with the descriptions, the photographs that remain, but also more contemporary photographs of the artworks, And you also have the experience of the soundtrack. So unfortunately, we're not able to propose you a virtual tour because there was no possibility to activate an internet connection here at Forum des Images. But of course, any of you can go on the internet and find it. So there were various codes of representation. You see here the entrance that Philippe has showed in the historical photographs with the Théâtre du Non-Corps, which is a very interesting concept by Beckett about this idea of a mental theater, which in a way it's the first way in which modernity proposed a form of dematerialization of an experience, is how you can rebuild an experience within your own mind, but still starting with the notion of the perspective. That Italian perspective in the 15th century came from the theater and the way to represent 3D in a limited space. And basically from these boxes, then you would enter the computer at the end of the show. A very interesting experience was made with how do we give a sense of what is known and what is not known, because the archive is not complete. So the idea was to represent the items that we knew about, we have archive of, and we also know where they were situated, where they were located in the space, are represented, as you see here, under the form of this white shadows. As you click on the shadow, then you access, the archival images. Here you have other examples of this ghostly white renderings. These are the Minitels at the end of the space. And when we do not know about where the piece is located, you would have those white hanging representations. This is, an example of we don't know what the piece looks like. So we know it was there, and if you click on the this white rectangle, then you would access some information about what we know, but we don't know the appearance of the object. And in other cases, we know what the object was, but we don't know where it was situated. And in that case, it's floating in the middle of the space. And again, as you click on these images, you would have access to the reproductions of those artworks which are identified. And the final example is works we don't know what they were, and we don't know where they were located, and these are black squares. So as you can see, it's a pretty hermetic game on our part, to invite the public to actually decipher also those levels of translation, because we in fact also wanted to render this notion of confusion and being immersed into a very complex, multi-layered world of informations that we wanted to render into virtual space. And also the play with digital representation and the archival photograph appears in other effects that we created as you wander through the space digitally. And when you come across some viewpoints, some perspectives that are those of some historical photographs, they would certainly appear to you in the form of ghosts of the past manifesting themselves, as you see here, like in a color photograph within this black and white digital rendering. So this happens when, I think there's another example earlier. When you wander to the space, and this is one of the spaces that Marie showed. And again, you can just come across this appearance of this ghostly presence. And of course, the soundtracks were proposed so that you also get with headphones with your computer a sense of how there was also a form of mismatch between the 31 audio zones and the 65 sites. I mean, these are very odd numbers in a way. The audio zones were actually covering various sites and also going across various of the paths that Philippe has described. So there was also, again, no rational. It was, again, another map that was superposed to the others. And this is something we have a sense of here. So maybe I will stop to be able, so that we are able to take 10 minutes questions if you are interested. I also maybe want to end up by saying that this is a curated selection of archives that is accessible through this website. We had the luck to work over 3 years with the designers, which is a very unusual way to proceed, meaning that it was a really back and forth discussion constantly about how to invent ways of creating this topographic rendering of the current knowledge of this historical documentation of this historical exhibition, and that the complete archive which has been digitized will be also accessible through a device, a digital database that we are creating from the Bibliothèque Kandinsky, which is the research library of the Pompidou, accessible from their website. And this will be a full, accessibility online from everywhere of this archive. And I also want to mention that we are still digging some new archival funds. I just heard that we are going to access 40 new photographs that were taken by Peter Weibel, historically, of the exhibition. So this is an ongoing research that will be completed. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Is there any question here? Yes, we have one question. We have a microphone for you. Because there are so many people in the live, so we have to wait. The microphone, thanks.
Thank you for this presentation, and thank you for this amazing work. I can't wait to see. If I understand correctly, it's already online, right? The exhibitions. So one simple question and one perhaps more interesting one. Will it stay online? Will it remain available? Both the documentation that you just mentioned and the exhibitions. And another question: is there or will there be any sort of theoretical work that you will publish on the process and rethinking of how you would rematerialize or not these immaterial and material exhibitions? So how you thought through that the conception to display, redisplay, important decisions were made, I suppose, at some point.
Maybe I can answer the first question. The online exhibition is visible, and it has been. For now, the plan is to have it for 5 years, but of course we will do our best so that it lasts over time. The digital tool that will be accessible from the Bibliothèque Kandinsky website, this is meant to stay forever, because of course it's not linked to the possible obsolescence of what happens in a virtual reconstruction. And then, for the essays, maybe Lívia can talk about the publication that will be out in July.
Yes, exactly. So, and also maybe to mention this, that I brought these flyers, and you can have one after the presentation with all the links to the different outputs of the project. And in terms of publication, yes, it was already from the beginning quite important part of our project to reflect on the making of these exhibition models, and essays on this are going to be published in the book Beyond Matter Within Space that is coming out in July.
Merci. On a une autre question. We have another question.
Hello, and thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. I was wondering, kind of a bit following up from the previous question, how do you plan to take this project forward? So this is a project of monumental value, not only for exhibition research, but also for the way that exhibitions are documented in years to come. And in this case, you have followed two different trajectories, as you very well described. So one is to faithfully mirror the physical exhibition itself in the best of your abilities. And the second one is to have a more subjective, user-centered approach. So do you have any future projects? And if indeed you do, are you planning to have a similar decision-making regime in terms of how these exhibitions are being put online?
This This is a very interesting question. I'm sure all of us have reactions to that. First of all, thank you for your question. And we know that you have experienced both exhibitions online. And for us, I would say that it's really important to open up a debate and to have feedback from the audience, from the users. We will have many public meetings to engage in such discussions. And it will be very valuable for us to have feedback, because I think this is really a matter of collective thinking and debate. Of course, it's very tempting to try to think of how this can be used as a template. I mean, each of the two models. But of course, it's quite evident from our projects that there's a kind of craft aspect to them, that they are very much engaging with a specific conceptual endeavors that are really very creatively inspired by the object of study itself. So, I mean, I would say, in my opinion, if we had the luxury to go on with such projects, each of them should be, of course, engaging with a creative and discursive interpretation of the historical objects.
And there's a question of sustainability for further projects. This was 4 years almost of research, so it means only a few exhibitions of the institution can justify such an important work. But also, yes, some of the decisions were directly linked to what we didn't know about this exhibition. And a lot of what we don't know is linked to what has not been preserved, which could be very different for an art exhibition, where works are, most of the time preserved and can be documented in a visual way that's more complete than what we could achieve with les matériaux.
Sorry, but it's. I think it's quite important to mention that the iconoclast model is working quite differently, and indeed, it is something that is also structurally new. In terms of using a recommending algorithm and creating an online space that is dynamic. And because of this, we decided for creating a generic exhibition platform, which is already online. And at this generic exhibition platform is practically a manual where other institutions, other initiatives can have a look at how such digital exhibition models or maybe models of archives that are using three-dimensional digital objects within them can be built up. And we also published the front end and the back end, the code of this application on the GitHub account of the ZKM. So this is available, it can be downloaded, and new, eventually less complex exhibitions can be built up with that. So that's also another possible continuation of the project, that the tools that were created are being used by others.